It's a veggie I totally suck at video games, but love to play them anyway.
Aloha, and welcome to another episode of WC, Worth the Cost. I'll take a game I've beaten, go over what I liked, what I was meh about, and what I didn't like, then decide if it was worth the price I paid for it. And since I have a million games in my backlog, I'll check out the cost nowadays and maybe change my initial judgment. Since you've probably already read the title for the video, you know it's on No More Heroes. But unless you're one of my real-life friends, you probably don't know that I bought this game before I even had a Wii to play it on. Just why was I so hyped for this game? Well, besides loving Killer 7 and thus becoming a Suda51 fan, No More Heroes just sounds like a badass game. Here's a quick story rundown. You play as Travis Touchdown, who somehow manages to be a bro and a super otaku nerd at the same time. His main goal is pretty much to get laid by sexy seductress Sylvia, who convinces him that she'll put out if he can get the #1 spot on the list of assassins. So he grabs his beam katana that he won off an internet auction and starts killing. Let's take a look at the gameplay. Travis earns money by doing side jobs and minigames until he has enough to cash in and go after the next assassin up on the list. Then he uses his beam katana skills, as well as some wrestling moves, because Suda51 is obsessed with masked wrestlers for some reason, to make his way to each very unique boss. There are secrets and collectibles to find in between assassins, and Travis's beam katana and fighting skills have upgrades to learn and buy. But then it's on to the next kill. What did I like? A ton! Probably my favorite aspect of this game are the insane characters. Everyone is so over the top that I instantly fell in love. Easiest example is our protagonist, Travis Touchdown. He trained to be a pro wrestler and has tons of sword combat training despite being a super otaku nerd that loves moe, rides a motorcycle, has some interesting taste in porn, mouths off like a cocky brat even though he's incredibly socially awkward, and is super sweet to his kitten. In short, he's so unlike a normal game protagonist that I was amazed and giddy to play as him. And it's not like he's the only one that brand of crazy. With that smooth transition, I will tell you how much I liked the bosses in this game. Not necessarily the fights themselves, but the whole lead-in and execution of each battle makes them special. The pre-battle scenes give a taste of each boss's weird personality, and with the exception of death metal, the opening bit gives a big clue on what each boss can do during the fight. Now, me being the terrible gamer I am, those hints usually didn't help me, but much like a certain famous YouTuber mentions in a certain Mega Man X video, this is No More Heroes not just throwing the player into a situation, but showing them how to handle it first. That magical word, conveyance. As for the bosses themselves, well, what other game has you fighting a Charles Bronson lookalike that sings karaoke, a mailman who transforms into a tokusatsu hero, and this guy? I don't want to spoil further bosses just in case you've never played, but they get even crazier. In fact, the most normal boss is probably the high school girl who's well practiced in katana skills looking for her father's killer. When that is normal, then I know there's fun in store. The graphics in this game are pretty much perfect for what it is. Cel-shaded anime-style characters that are simple yet instantly recognizable serve No More Heroes well. The blood effects are hilarious, and I love the 8-bit references everywhere. The city itself and environments are a bit dull, I'll admit, but the characters are the stars in this game, so having bland backdrops actually works in its favor. A fun little side thing to do is buying clothes, accessories, and finding all the t-shirts in the game. Travis has a certain style, that's for sure, but it's fun to change him up a bit. I think I did most of my first playthrough with him shirtless, but there are a few shirts I'm a fan of. Finding all the shirts and buying some badass editions was a fun side quest I enjoyed when I needed a break from money grinding. One more thing to like is the music. The main theme is catchy as hell, and the rest of the music is pretty snazzy, accentuates the battles, but doesn't overshadow the gameplay. Plus the soundtrack is great to listen to on its own, so yeah, I like it. What was I meh about? Okay, first up here is the fighting. There are parts of it I absolutely love, such as the satisfying feeling of swiping your hand to the side and instantly decapitating 3 dudes. There are parts of it I could really do without, like having to worry about how I'm holding my Wiimote since there's a high and low stance. I don't know about you, but I play games in some weird positions, which means I was constantly switching from high to low stance without even knowing it. Let me say that I applaud No More Heroes for implementing Wiimote controls in a fantastic way. A lot of Wii games are either all waggle or no waggle at all. No More Heroes married the two by having the actual fighting dependent on the A and B buttons, then having the more superfluous and flashy moves involve the waggle. Was it perfect? No. But it rarely frustrated me like a lot of waggle games do, and it was fun enough for people like me who kinda suck at games. The job system in No More Heroes is alright. It starts by taking a goofy side job, such as collecting coconuts, mowing lawns, gathering garbage, and so on. That unlocks a shadier job that involves killing people to net some cash. There are also free missions scattered about where you have to kill a bunch of people without getting hit. The jobs and missions are pretty fun and sometimes challenging, but when the entry fees keep getting steeper, it's easiest to just choose a quick mission that nets a bunch of cash, then lather, rinse, repeat. In the time between killing assassins, grinding through jobs to get money becomes an artificial game lengthener, which is a shame. Another thing that could have been better is the limit breaks, called Dark Side Mode. After each kill, a slot machine pull happens, and if the symbols match, then Travis gets a crazy power-up. The only issue here is that it happens instantly. This really sucks when you get one after you just killed the last guy in a room. The Dark Side modes themselves are really cool, my favorite being Cranberry Chocolate Sundae because, well, look at it. The unreliability of Dark Side mode kills the joy of how awesome they really are though. The PS3 version of No More Heroes fixes this by letting you control when to start the move, and if that was in the Wii version, Dark Side mode would have gone from meh to light. What didn't I like? Having to drive around the map to do everything. The time wasted between going to the job center, then to the actual job, over and over makes grinding for money a much more tedious process than it needs to be. When I was stuck in the middle of nowhere after a job and needed to get all the way to the other side of the map, I usually tried to find the nearest river or cliff to drive off of, which resets you at the hotel. Having a quick travel option would have solved this dislike completely. That way the player could drive around and search for dumpsters and such if they felt like it, while still saving so much time and frustration when they needed cash quick. Another thing I wasn't a fan of are some of the instant kills that can happen. Now, I have no footage of those here because they're mostly late game, but there's a certain boss that exploits instant kills like crazy. I got so angry during the fight the first time I played that I almost abandoned the game. I kind of hate the whole, hey, you didn't block / move / hit the button in time, so now you're dead instantly in any game. At least No More Heroes doesn't use it too often, but I would have had a lot more fun without it at all. There isn't a lot I dislike about this game. The map could probably be better, as it was hard to read on a small screen. Oh, and I remember how sore my arms were after playing it 2 days straight. I'm a little enthusiastic in my movements. Oh, I did dislike how hardly anyone in Japan came out to the release of this game, where Suda51 was giving out No More Heroes toilet paper rolls. I would have been all over that. I pre-ordered No More Heroes even though I didn't have a Wii. Heck, I even created my own pre-order bonus to get others to reserve the game, making a postcard on photo paper from a picture in one of the gaming mags I bought. I paid my $50 the day it came out, and displayed it proudly on my shelf, and waited a few months. Eventually I dog-sat for my cousins who owned a Wii, and I was finally able to play No More Heroes, playing it almost non-stop over the weekend I was at their place, with their dog at my side. But was it worth the $50 cost? Hell yes it was! I don't know if you noticed throughout this WC, but I kind of love this game. No More Heroes came out on the Wii January 22nd, 2008. It was worth the full price then, but let's see what it costs now. Looking around on the web, you can get this game anywhere from $8 used up to around $20 for a brand new copy. A PS3 HD version came out in 2011, which goes for $25 used or around $50 new. If you have not played this game yet, it's totally worth the cost for either system. If you have played the Wii game and loved it, the PS3 one is at least worth buying used for $25. If you couldn't tell by now, I think everyone should buy and play this game. So go. Now, stop watching this video and go play No More Heroes. And remember, trust your force and head for the Garden of Madness!